Welcome back to MGSTV. I'm your host Andrew Scott, and we've got a real treat for you now. We've got Mr. Tim McNally, Chairman of Nagacorp Limited. Mr. McNally, welcome to MGSTV.
Thanks so much, Andrew, for having me.
This is your first Macau gaming show. Well, it is the first Macau gaming show. What are your impressions so far of the show?
So far, so good. Just 20 minutes ago, I had an opportunity to speak at the conference concerning the gaming industry in Cambodia, and specifically Nagacorp and our own journey within Cambodia. So very rewarding to see so many enthusiastic visitors.
Tim, before we get on to the subject of Naga World in Cambodia, our viewers might be interested to know you had a very colourful career prior to entering the gaming industry. You were a special agent at the FBI and also a prosecutor focusing on areas like drug trafficking, corruption and organised crime. You must have some very interesting stories. Are there any that you're at liberty to share with us?
Well, sure. Yes, my entrance into the gaming business is a little bit different. I'm a lawyer by education. I worked many years ago as a public prosecutor and 25 years with the FBI, and I spent about 9 years in Miami during the heyday of drug trafficking and so forth. And we ran a lot of undercover operations dealing with Colombian drug trafficking, and I recall one incident that I can share because it's all put to rest at this point. We had an undercover agent out actually working with the bad guys, and he ended up at sea in a very bad storm on a vessel that was transporting cocaine into the United States under a controlled circumstance. In any event, the wind, the seas, and the storm started breaking apart the boat, so we ended up having to rescue him and take down the operation a little bit earlier than anticipated. But most importantly, we saved his life, and just like anything else, the good guys won in that instance, and we ended up with a successful prosecution as well.
You also held a very senior position at the Hong Kong Jockey Club. The Jockey Club has a very privileged position in Hong Kong, of course being the only organisation of any significance that can legally accept bets in that jurisdiction. How did your time at the Jockey Club assist you with your current position as chairman of Nagacorp?
The Hong Kong Jockey Club, as you mentioned, it's an exceptional organization, has a very powerful, influential role within Hong Kong, whether it's the charitable side, and certainly it's world-renowned as far as horse racing and sports betting. It's taken off where it's probably the largest sports betting operation in the world. One, it taught me a lot about the community of Hong Kong. I certainly learned and gained a lot of experience from working with the senior executives there about Asian gaming, also management style. I became certainly very affectionate and loyal to the people that I worked with, local Hong Kong Chinese. They certainly taught me a great deal, and so it was both a living experience as well as a good exposure to the gaming world from a top-notch organization. And as a result of 7 years with the Jockey Club, I met so many world-around in the horse racing business from Australia, the UK, France, developed friends with jockeys all over the world. And whenever I'm in Hong Kong, which is, monthly, I still maintain all my contacts and friendships that were there. But it's an organization that serves Hong Kong. But for me, I think I provided some expertise and skills they needed at the time, but I certainly benefited by being part of a quality organization.
The Nagacorp, of course, owns Naga World, Cambodia's largest casino, located in Phnom Penh. So for our viewers who are not familiar with the property, could you briefly describe the offerings at Naga World?
I'd say we're the little guy that can, or the little guy that would. We started out on a barge on the Mekong River in 1995. We operated with profitability every year of operation. We moved into a land-based casino in 2003. The founder of the company, Dr. Chen Lip Kung, he's a Malaysian Chinese businessman, a medical doctor by background. So you have the FBI agent on one side, a medical doctor on the other. But we've been a good working team, and I think the personalities and the difference in background has augmented our working relationship and the growth of the company. We basically moved into a shell. This company's never had any debt or gearing, which is unlike many of the major gaming operations of the world. We now have a 700-plus room hotel complex, 180 gaming tables, 1,500 gaming machines, 15 food and beverage outlets, everything from Japanese, Korean. You know, our market is very much focused on Indochina. We set out to be the best gaming and entertainment destination in Asia. We listed the company on the Hong Kong Exchange in 2006, first gaming stock to be listed on the Hong Kong Exchange. We did so not because we so much needed to raise money in an IPO, but Cambodia had perception issues, and we certainly wanted to raise the visibility of Cambodia. I think we've done that. We certainly wanted to be, you know, transparent and open, and so in terms of disclosure of information, in terms of being able to reach out to the marketplace, develop relationships where people had confidence in investing in our company, we obviously had to produce results, but we've seen such significant steady performance and results over the last, well, I guess it's now 8 years since we listed.
You did mention one of the reasons, but was there any other reasons why the decision was made to list on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange? And what operational implications flow on from the fact the company is listed in Hong Kong?
Well, one, I think, you know, we have mid-year and year-end financial results, audited financial results. We obviously have accountability to the rules and regulations of the Hong Kong Exchange. We're very mindful of those, even though we're a business operating out of Cambodia. So again, being able to be transparent and open with our investors, it gives confidence that we're on a worldwide or internationally recognized exchange. The other side of that is the country of Cambodia had a very difficult time in the 70s through the Pol Pot regime, and a lot of perceptions about, you know, that flowed from that. Cambodia had 400,000 visitors in the year 2000. Last year, they were at 3.6 million. This year, it'll be 4.2 million. Projections for 2020 is to double that to over 7 million. So Cambodia, you know, it had its own challenges. So when this company started, like I said, there was not a long queue to invest in Cambodia at the time. Dr. Chen's philosophy was, you know, you have to do nation building. You have to work with the host country. You know, we employ 5,500 local Cambodians now. We have Naga 2, which is underway. It'll be finished at the end of 2015. We'll double the number of employees to over 10,000. So we're helping the local economy. I talked about that tourism growth from 400,000 up to, well, hopefully it'll be 7 million in 2020. But, you know, we're building Naga 2, which will be a multi-level retail outlet, a Naga City Walk. We'll have a concert facility. You know, things that you take for granted in a place like Macau or Hong Kong. Phnom Penh was shut down in the 80s and 90s. It was really an economic and political ground zero. It lost half of its population base. So it's an emerging country. And I think our message is you can be successful in an emerging country, but you obviously have to be skilled in the products that you offer. Much of our gaming offerings no different than you'd find here in Macau as far as baccarat, roulette. Baccarat drives are, you know, both our junket as well as public floor. We set out originally on a barge. That was a junket-focused business. Now 65%, 60+% of our revenue since 2009 is mass market, about 35% on the junket. Our non-gaming revenue has grown considerably. We have the largest banquet and conference and convention facility in Phnom Penh now. Certainly when we double our capacity with the opening of Naga 2, we're just adding more entertainment and service components that complement that tourist growth.
Tim, I've often admired the fact that your company operates with very little or basically no debt. But some would say that, you know, companies owe it to themselves to leverage their equity and gear themselves up to expand in an attempt to maximise their bottom line. Why does Nagacorp operate with so little debt?
You know, the founder, I mentioned, is a medical doctor. He's a very accomplished businessman who's had a number of publicly listed companies in Malaysia. But when he went into Cambodia, you know, truly there was a great deal of both economic and political uncertainty. His philosophy was, I'll take what I have achieved in terms of profits and then slowly build, and let's see how the country takes shape in terms of political direction, complement the economic growth. So we've completed our journey as far as building out Naga One. It's a very substantial complex. Would I say it's at the same exquisite level of a Steve Wynn casino? No, but it really accommodates our customer base from across Indochina, the region. We always characterize ourselves as a blue-collar casino, and I think we took great pride in that. But going back to your question, we were conservative investment, but we're not adverse to taking on, equity or leverage. We just announced that we're going into Russia, Vladivostok, Primorsky province. We expect that, we will do some type of financial other than our own funding. But I think that, call it conservative fiscal policy, has served us well. It shows that you can build a very significant. In 2010, I believe it was, the beginning, our market capitalization was around $400 million, $400 million in 2010. We're now 2.1 billion. So, people, I think there's another side to that. You can grow too fast. We wanted to integrate into the community. We wanted to be part of the community as far as knowing what the needs and requirements. We had really no restrictions on our license, but we used self-restraint because we also knew we were operating at a low economic base. So working within the community, being fiscally prudent and conservative have served this company very well.
What unique factors need to be considered when operating a casino in Cambodia as opposed to more well-known jurisdictions such as Macau, Singapore or the Philippines?
Well, if you talk about Macau, you're talking about a 1.4 billion market with China at the doorstep. And the size and scale of Macau's operations, we have great admiration. By the same token, we operate in an area of Asia, Indochina, that has 240 million. We have other surrounding countries, and we are open to tourism. If you look at, 42% of our tourists come from either Vietnam, Korea, or mainland China. And the fastest growing is mainland China. So we not only cater to our own Indochina area, but the greater, broader area. We will not certainly take a large chunk of the junket business away from Macau. Singapore is a very cosmopolitan city with many offerings. We offer a reasonable, low-cost destination, and we represent a lot of old Asia. The Khmer culture, rich in traditions, history, the well-known temple at Angkor Wat, Siem Reap, is visited by millions from around the world. But Naga is really providing other tourist destinations for those visiting the country. And Phnom Penh, frankly, gets about 50% of that traffic now.
Do junkets play a significant role at Naga World?
They do, Andrew. Certainly, I might have mentioned to you earlier, we started out on a barge operation. Our initial customer base was really all junket based. They were junket operations out of Malaysia, Singapore, and China. Why Malaysia? Malaysia, with a great majority, is when this company started, most of our managers or employees came from Genting in Malaysia. So Genting was really our model, our, call it, experience base initially. And until we had a land-based casino, 90% of our revenue operations were from junkets. And even after we moved into the land-based casino, we didn't have sufficient hotel rooms, restaurants. We didn't have a marketing program in place. We didn't really fully launch till 2008 or 9. So we were a junket-focused business from those three countries in particular. Today, even though it constitutes less than a majority of our revenue, the junket business is still quite significant. We're adding, high-end VIP suites like Macau, like Singapore. I think in one of the publications I read there was 963 billion US in terms of rollings, just between Macau, and Singapore, and the lion's share was here in Macau. We have about maybe 0.5% of those total rollings, but we think we can at least double that. In our Naga 2, we plan to add an additional 50 suites. We have a combination of junket operators from outside the country. We've always paid a little bit higher commission in the old days to get them there. We reduce those commissions, but we still have traditional groups. We also have more direct player, local Cambodian junkets. And at the end of the day, we've also introduced our own program, incentive programs, where we're trying to reduce some of our own costs, but reward the operators with a higher percent of the winnings. In other words, when we have a partnership agreement with a Macau operator, a Malaysian operator, if they want to structure the deal, deposit a certain amount of money with us as far as operating chips and so forth, we'll give them a larger piece of the pie, we'll take a lower piece. Why? Because we want to grow the rolling business, and we want to grow the volume of our junket business. We think we can successfully do that. Mass market is still our priority, but the junket business is a very vital and important part. But you know, when I look or compare the size and scale of junket operations here in Macau or in Singapore, I wouldn't say we're envious. You know, we have a very good business, a very solid operation. We've just hired some additional people as far as business development for China, Macau. You know, big-time players world around like to travel a bit. So I think people coming to Cambodia will have a very positive experience, and no different than our mass market people. The best ambassadors are the people who come and visit us.
Well, Tim, thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you next time on MGSTV.
Thanks, Andrew. All the best.